Black First, my brothers and my sisters, welcome to FTC. We have a very important live. We have, our host here, Afro Elite. Of course, you guys know me, all my social media. You have our sister here, co-host Zeze. How you doing, Zeze? How you doing?
I'm doing very fine today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I am wonderful. I'm doing great. It's been a little busy, but I've been doing good. And I'm glad we're having this because this is a very important subject. All
Right.
right. I'm glad to see that as a community, as a foundational Black American family, that we're all really locked in with this situation because this situation is very important. What I need from everybody before we really get started, I need from everybody to hit that like button. All right. We've been doing a lot on this channel. This channel has been growing. I am thankful. I am appreciative of all of you guys, all of your watching, all of your liking, all of your sharing, everything that you guys have been doing. Thank you sincerely for all of it. Now, let's start off with this. Okay, we're going to start off with the actual facts of the situation based off of the police arrest, and then we're going to get into some of the other details that let us know in this situation without a shadow of a doubt, based off of what is confirmed, that this is justified. Now, we have to say this going forward. This channel, me nor her, condone any violence. Okay. This is a tragic situation where essentially two parents have lost their son as of right now. The situation is unfortunate. The situation is preventable. We can establish that for the record. We are not making light of, we are not condoning the passing of anybody. However, we do have to understand some people sometimes do things and they make mistakes, and those mistakes cost their life. Just because they lost their life does not mean what they were doing was not wrong. You have to understand that. That is the logical situation with this. It is unfortunate. So in the situation, you have two students. You have Austin. You have in Austin. You have a white student named Austin Metcalf, and then you have a black student named Karmelo Anthony. They got into an altercation, and in the altercation that was initiated by Austin and his twin brother, who were right there, Austin was stabbed, and he bled out. Knowing that, I'm gonna pass it to Zeze to say something real quick, and then we're going to get into the articles to really go into the details.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I don't want to mess up the details, at least, or say too much, because I was about to say something that's a little further in. Maybe we should go to the detail first.
Okay.
I was about to say, I don't want to, let's skip ahead.
Okay. So this is what we have here. So it says, Texas track meet stabbing. Suspect allegedly told police he was protecting himself. This is, and I want you guys to pay very close attention to this, because this is the tent of the school. Now, what this was a track meet. So you had a lot of different schools. If you can look right here towards the corner, this is another tent from another school. All right. Pay very close attention to this. This is very close. This is very important information. So I'm trying to be quick with this, just so you guys can get the information about this, and then we're going to be able to go into the details of the interviews and things like that. It says, a 17-year-old student charged with murder and a fatal stabbing of another student at a track meet allegedly confessed to the killing, and officers, he said, he told them he was protecting himself, according to the arrest report. The incident occurred Wednesday morning at Frisco Independent School District Stadium during a track and field championship involving multiple schools in the district. Austin Metcalf, that was the white boy who got stabbed, 17, an 11th grader at Frisco Memorial High School, died after police said another student stabbed him during an altercation in the bleachers at the meet. All right. The student in the deadly stabbing, Karmelo Anthony, a student at Frisco Central High School, which is a different high school. All right. This is what they're saying the motive is. So it is important. has been charged with first-degree murder. That is very important. Keep in mind, murder. All right. It says one officer who responded to the scene said Anthony told him, and I don't like how ABC does this unprompted. He told him unprompted without being asked any question about the incident. I was protecting myself, according to the arrest report. So they're saying like unprompted. He was saying it's just like it's not necessary to say.
Right. Yeah.
This is what happened. Okay. So then they get into the arrest, but we can actually scroll down. This is the mugshot of Karmelo. So we're going to scroll down into what the twin brother who was there is saying. Okay. So we're getting right here into the actual incident. It says the stabbing occurred under the Memorial High School tent, which is the tent I showed you, in the stadium bleachers at approximately 10 a.m. on Wednesday, according to the arrest report. Responding officers said they spoke to multiple witnesses, keep that in mind, including one who reported that the alleged altercation began after Metcalf told Anthony to move from under their team's tent, according to the arrest report. The witness reported that Anthony allegedly reached inside, that's the black guy, reached inside his bag and said, quote, touch me and see what happens, according to the arrest report. According to a witness, Metcalf grabbed Anthony to move him, and Anthony allegedly pulled out what the witness described as a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest and ran away, the arrest report said. An officer recovered a bloody knife in the bleachers, according to the report. So they got the knife. Also, he was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. Continuing now, they're going to get into witnesses. Mind you, it was a whole track meet. It was multiple people there. All right. Shout out to everybody in the room. Please make sure y'all hit that like button. It says his twin brother who was there, his twin brother, and y'all want to keep that in mind because we're going to get into what the twin brother is about. His twin brother, Hunter Metcalf, was also at the meet and spoke to the officers at the scene. He said that after his brother told Anthony he had to leave the tent because he didn't go to Memorial, the two, quote, this is what the brother said, went back and forth, and then Austin stood up and pushed the male to get him out the tent, according to the arrest report. So according to the arrest report, keep this in mind, the twin brother told the police that the twin who was stabbed pushed the black kid to get him out the tent. This is what he told the police. Now, what he tells the police is going to be different from what he tells the reporters, but just keep this in mind, that he told the police that his brother pushed him to get him out the tent. It continues to say, I tried to rip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. Hunter Metcalf told Dallas ABC affiliate WFAA, quote, it was really senseless. I don't know why a person would do that to someone just over a little argument.
Right.
It says, and this is the end of that. The track and field, hold on, my bad. I'm looking at the wrong thing. The track meet has been postponed to Monday and will be held at a new location. WFAA reported. Frisco SID will share more details on update security measures with families, according to the station. So I read that so we can get an understanding. As of right now, there is a lot we don't know. There is a lot we don't know. And there's a lot of people all over social media who are now coming up and they're saying things like they knew Austin or they knew Karmelo, and a lot of people are coming up with now photoshopped images and things like that, and different theories that has not been substantiated. All right. So just keep that in mind. We're going off of what has been established by the police, and then what also we will continue what is being said by the families. But off of that information, what is your take on that, Zeze?
Who would do that over one little argument? Great question. Who would do that over one little argument? I don't think there's a lot of people with sense that would, but I think there is a lot of people that would do that over someone assaulting them. Because if you get up and push me, that's assault. That's not an argument. Now we're passing the borders of communication. Now we're getting physical. So what I do in response to that should be equal to or greater, greater than. Now, whether you choose to go whichever route is, that was up to that brother's decision. But he definitely, if somebody put his hands on him, he was 100% justified no matter what. Now, they're trying to make this argument that, oh, well, he wasn't supposed to be there. And, the young man who passed, he was trying to do the right thing. Like they're trying to paint this narrative like he's been a vigilante, or he was being, he was just doing the right thing and trying to be the hero. And it's like, let's just be real. If the roles were reversed, if these two twin brothers were black, and the brother who's now locked up, the young man that's now locked up, if Karmelo was white, the narrative would be completely different. It would be, well, why would they try to bully that young man out of they couldn't go get a coach? Why wouldn't they go get an adult? They couldn't call the young man's parents. Well, where were their parents at? Where were the adults? You see how the change in responsibility shifts just like that? But because it's two white boys and they were in their 10 and the black boy wasn't supposed to be there. Oh, well, they had the right to do whatever the fuck they wanted to this student who's still supposed to be at the track and field. He's supposed to be at the game. It's not like he's trespassing property. He's supposed to be at home. No, he's supposed to be at the game. You're not supposed to be in that tent, but you got coaches, you got adults there to do stuff like that. You're not this boy's parents. Who the hell told you got authority over him to put your hands on him to remove him from anywhere? Even if he's not supposed to be there. You work for the school? You getting paid to do that? So even within that, like the act that they're not trying to be honest about was that they were wrong. You chose to put your hands on that boy. You chose to address. You didn't even have to walk up to him. You could have went straight to the door. Hey, he's not supposed to be here. He's not. This is not his tent. You didn't even have to talk to him directly, but since you chose to go over there, you got the consequences that came with that. Unfortunately, condolences to their family. But yeah. I don't think that this young man should be. I'm not. From what we know, let's just say that from what we know right now, I'm not saying that he should be on no. We're going to get to that. He shouldn't be locked up. He damn sure shouldn't have had that high ass bond. This is looking like self-defense. And if it was a white boy, that would be the first narrative. I don't even think he would have got locked up. Honestly. It will probably be protests out here like, yeah, we need to get this white boy. Come on, let's just be real. They will probably be fighting to get him locked up. Because he probably wouldn't even got arrested. If he did, he would have got right out. To be honest. They would have been fighting to make this look like self-defense. Just off what we know so far. But we're going to keep going. What'd you get? What'd you think?
Okay. I'm going to say this. First off, I agree with your take, okay? I think it was really good. Really good take about that. I want to also say on social media, a lot of people are saying that the two twins or the boys knew each other, that Austin knew Karmelo. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying that Austin was a well-known bully. So we don't have any solid evidence that they knew each other at all. Some people are saying there was an incident at a party and the girlfriend was there and there was something else. We don't know that. But let's put that into a factor, okay? Scenario A. They didn't know each other like the report says. This goes to show it looks very bad on Austin's character. Austin, I want to keep this in mind. He goes to that school. However, he does not run track. Okay. He was not a part of the track meet. He was there kicking it with some friends. Karmelo actually does run track. So if anything, Karmelo was supposed to be there. It was a downpour. Everybody was taking breaks. All right. So it was raining. He was under the tent to, keep himself dry from the rain while it was still raining. All right. They were saying it was his team. It was his school's tent. It wasn't really his team's tent because he wasn't on the team. All right. Keep that in mind. 2, he does not have the authority at all to even say anything to Karmelo about getting up and leaving the tent. And if Karmelo was, because we don't really know if he wasn't supposed to be in the tent or not, if he absolutely was not supposed to be in the tent whatsoever, it is not Austin's place to tell him to move, and especially to the degree where you're going to physically put your hands on somebody. You're not the tent police. He's not the tent police. And I want to say this. If they didn't know each other, this makes Austin's character look real bad. the fact that you're going to some complete stranger, you just see a stranger sitting on some bleachers. It's not assigned seats or anything like that. It's just bleachers under a tent that your school, a tent for your school, to the point where you're going to physically try to move him out the way, a complete stranger, after the stranger said, "Don't touch me, leave me alone," and he continues to do so. I want you guys to think what type of person he must have been, because for everybody to say that he was a bully, and then for you to see this action of somebody, you don't go around putting your hands on people that you don't know, never met before.
Right.
You have to be a very particular type of person to have so much entitlement where you put your hands on people to move them and push them out of tents. So either they knew each other and there was motive, which if there was motive, there was more than likely a racial incident, which is why they don't want to bring it up, or there's not motive, and Austin is just some type of crazy hothead who goes around putting his hands on people. But this character or this incident, it gives fodder to all of the allegations that he is a well-known bully, because this is indicative of how bullies behave.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even if he did know him, like you said, there could have been an incident or just a racial incident in particular. But even with the bullying narrative, it makes sense, because the fact that he brings a knife, why did he have a knife at a track meet? Why would he bring that? Why did he feel that he needed that level of protection? But I mean, if he felt like he was getting, if he was getting bullied by two brothers, who are not, if we got pictures of them, they're not small. These ain't no scrawny ass little white boys. Let me just say, these are like, they look like they're athletic. Let's just say that. There's pictures of them hunting and fishing, all types of stuff. These boys got some weight on their bones. Okay, they're not, so especially in comparison to the brother, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, if he felt like he needed that level of protection, it makes sense.
Okay, I put it's not technically a GoFundMe, it's another donation thing. So, but I put that in the chat room. So anybody donating to a GoFundMe, the website is actually not a GoFundMe. So be careful, because you're going to have a lot of people out there putting up fake little GoFundMe pages and stuff like that to get money. So the official website I have put in the chat room. All right. So let's be careful with that. Now, I do want to get to what I find very interesting is the twin brother immediately has the twin brother and the father have an interview with the local news, and then they switched it up. All right. So I want you guys to pay very close attention. Now, remember, every time I tell you guys, every time we go live, I tell you guys every single time, if I tell you to remember something, it's because it is going to come up later. And I need you to recall what I said earlier. I want you guys to recall that what Hunter, the twin brother, told the police is that he saw his brother push Karmelo. That is what he told the police. Now listen to what he actually tells the interviewers.
There was this kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless. And my brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." And he's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So that's just what I saw. And I tried to help him, but
it was just senseless.
All right, and that was the mother you just heard. So now he says that Austin, he was there. The kid wasn't supposed to be there. They told him originally. Let's play it back. It's only a few seconds.
This kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive.
So They asked him to move. Just pay very close attention, okay? We got to be real attentive right here. They asked him to move, and then he started getting aggressive, and
talking reckless.
And talking reckless. He's not specifying what was said at all.
Brother stepped in and said, "You need to move." He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid,
Now, then he says Austin grabbed his backpack, which is different from what he told police. Because he told police that Austin actually put his hands on him.
Right.
Now he's saying that Austin grabbed his backpack, and apparently he didn't see this, like he was around the corner or something. He keeps saying that he didn't see the stab. All right, that's what he's saying. So let's listen to what the father had to say. Originally, what the father had to say.
I can tell you what happened. I know firsthand. I wasn't there, but I talked to my son, everything. I know exactly how it all transpired. It was a multi-Frisco High School track meet. Many high schools were there. It started to rain, and they have their own little tent for memorial, and they were sitting there, and someone was behind them mouthing off, and he turned around and said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Mello." He said, "Well, you don't belong here. You don't go to memorial." He had a Centennial tracksuit on. And he said, "You need to leave. This ain't your spot." And some words were discussed. I'm not going to say on camera but he asked him to leave and basically said, "Make me." And then he wound up stabbing him in the heart and killing him. All over someone sitting in the wrong spot at a track meet.
Okay.
Oh, he jumped over that. He jumped over that real quick.
It seems like, there was a lot of things. I want you to pay attention to this part. When he said this part right here, it stood out to me when he said this part right here.
Tracksuit on. And he said, "You need to leave. This ain't your spot." And some words were discussed. I'm not going to say on camera
probably because your son said some racist
Exactly.
Said something racist. Let's be real.
Okay. So according to him, Austin was in the wrong spot, which technically we don't even officially know about, like school policies or whatever the case is, if there's a track meet or whatever, if that is the right spot or wrong spot. All right. We don't know that 100% if that was the wrong spot or right spot. We do know for a fact that he is a part of the track meet. We do know for a fact that Austin nor his brother had any authority to tell him to move, especially to make him move. They're not like security there. They're not even a team captain or anything like that. They don't have any authority to do that. So he says that he notices that he's in the wrong spot, quote unquote, and tells him, and the kid was mouthing off. No, they don't say what he said that was such a disturbance to make him have to move out the tent. So he was mouthing off, quote unquote. And then they said, "Oh, sir, you're going to have to move. This is not your seat." And then the father says some words were exchanged. I'm not going to say on camera what it is. Well, sir, you're telling the story. The words that are exchanged are very important for us to know what was said prior to a stabbing, sir. Wouldn't you think? Unless the words that were exchanged makes his son look bad.
Exactly.
That's why he's like, well, yeah, some words were exchanged, but I don't want to say that on camera. I don't want to say that on camera. And then he makes it seem like, yeah, some words were exchanged. He said, "Make me move," and then he stabbed him.
Which, like, how do you just?
Yeah, just notice he skipped straight to the end. Let me show that one more time. Just skip straight to the end. Like, yeah.
He asked him to leave and basically said, "Make me," and then he wound up stabbing him in the heart.
He just wound up stabbing him.
And then he wound up stabbing him in the heart.
Okay.
Wind up stabbing somebody. That's real common. That's real. I mean, and even, I don't know. I haven't seen, I'm sure. If the young man Karmelo, if he had a violent history, that would be probably one of the first things they will be putting out there towards the public. So I'm sure he doesn't. He's on the track team. I'm sure he doesn't really have a violent history, at least on paper, from what we know of. So for you to just say that he wound up stabbing him, because he was telling over an argument. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't, it doesn't even compute. How do you just skip to that? A young boy at a trial. We're not talking about these are street gangs where you can't even paint that in order. He was in a gang and they was on the street and this is after a robbery. This is like they were at a school. They had an argument over a seat. Are you telling me he just got up and stabbed him out of nowhere?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Somebody's lying.
Now, notice that he says he got his story because he wasn't there. The father wasn't there. Okay, he admits he wasn't there. He got his story from his son, which was the twin brother, who told a different story to the interviewer than he did to the police, because he told the police that Austin put his hands on him. Then he told the interviewer that Austin grabbed his bag. And according to the father, Austin didn't touch anything. And Austin just must have walked up to him and said, "Hey, sir, you might be mistaken, but this is not your tent." And then next thing you know, Karmelo just got up in a bloodlust rage and charged Austin. But that's not what happened. Now, that was their interview the first time. I want us to look at the father's second interview. Got to get the first one off. Okay, there we go.
I had a chance to talk to you about. We haven't really had a chance to talk to you about this. You had mentioned a few times that you had forgiven the suspect for what
correct.
He did.
I do.
But we just informed you about these documents, and
That doesn't change anything.
Okay.
This has to do with me and God. God teaches us.
I want to pause it because that happened real quick and people might forget, not notice that. Notice that the interviewer is trying to like not get him to confess because he's like, he just informed you about these documents. Notice this.
We haven't really had a chance to talk to you about this. You had mentioned a few times that you had forgiven the suspect for what
correct.
He did.
I do.
But we just informed you about these documents, and
That doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it feels like there's a big piece of the puzzle that we don't know about. He said, yeah, we just informed you about these documents, as if the document is supposed to change the father's opinion on forgiveness. Oh, but that doesn't change anything. Okay, well, what is the documents then? Because we don't know nothing about what documents he's referring to at all. But the interviewer is all like, I heard you forgave him, but what about the documents? Oh, the documents don't change anything. Okay, I think we should know what these documents, what documents are they referring to?
Right.
Okay, just keep that in mind.
This has to do with me and God. God teaches us in the Bible. He talks about forgiveness. He also talks about revenge. Not for me to seek. God will take care of it. Karma, I believe in it. It's very unfortunate that this other child decided to make a bad choice that's going to affect him for the rest of his life. I have compassion for every human being. This is not, I want to make this very clear. This is not a race issue. This is not a black and white issue. I don't want someone stepping up on a soapbox trying to politicize this. I don't appreciate some of the remarks I've seen online that people say there was this fight and they don't know, they weren't there. I know the truth. So unless you were there,
Okay.
unless you saw it, don't spread gossip.
Now, I can respect the fact that people shouldn't be spreading gossip about this situation. Okay. And people shouldn't. People should only speak on what is officially known. However, the dad wasn't there. So for him to say that unless you're there, essentially don't speak about it, and you don't know what happened because you weren't there. But sir, you weren't there.
Right.
You weren't there. And your firsthand account is being inconsistent. Even if you believe everything your son said word for word, your son is giving different words to different people. He's given different words to the police than he gave to the interviewer. All right. And that's if he's telling the truth to either one of them. But okay.
Just to ask you this one question, like I had mentioned, the self-defense argument made by the suspect. What's your reaction to that if that's used in court or used?
As a defense attorney, they're going to try every avenue. That's their job. The truth will come out. There were too many people that were there that saw what happened. My own son told me what happened. There was never a punch even thrown. So I don't care. There was never a phone broken. We've never had contact with this individual ever. So unless you were there, I don't appreciate all the gossip and all the mistruths that people are speaking at this moment.
Is that shocking to hear or read, or at least hear from me, say that that's what he told police after that moment?
No, what do you expect? If you're caught, the best thing you're gonna do is try to lie your way out of it. Now, I'm not saying he's a liar, but the truth and the facts, justice will prevail. It has nothing to do with me.
Well, I mean, when you're saying, you're not saying he's a liar, but the truth and the facts will prevail, you're saying he's lying.
Right. Essentially.
Now,
Just trying to
before
be
we get
nice
into the son's second interview, I want to hear your opinion about the dad switch up.
You know what?
Disposition.
I'm feeling like that's it's a little bit of a red flag for me. Okay. It's giving suspected white supremacist vibes. I'm gonna just be real. Because the fact that your first mind was to say, oh, well, this isn't a race issue. Why are you so upset that people think it's a race issue? You're in fucking Texas with 2 white boys and a young black boy. What are we talking about? Yeah, race is going to be the first thing that pops up. So the fact that you're so triggered that this is not a race issue, are you just trying to cover up the fact that you taught your boys to also be white supremacists? And you want to cover that up? Cover that part of the story up before anybody can dig too deep into it and see that, and then see maybe the justification of what Karmelo felt he had to do in that moment. So yeah, I don't trust people who do that. Okay, why are you even worried about that narrative? You should be worried about trying to console your family. Your wife just lost his son. Your son just lost his twin brother. That's a heavy thing to lose. I'm a twin myself, so I feel for him. But also, it's like, so for that to be at the forefront, why are you trying to block off that narrative so fast? And we don't even have all the facts yet. You just said, well, the truth is going to prevail. So if the truth is going to prevail, if you believe that your God is going to avenge your son or going to provide the revenge that you feel you need, is going to bring the truth out, why do you feel the need to get up here and make it clear that it's not a race issue? Isn't God going to show that? Ain't the truth and the facts going to show that? But you're so hell bent on us knowing that, hey, it's not about race. So when we do see these racist tweets, or we do see these racist pictures that they be having, the little parties and stuff, the blackface they be putting on, a lot of these young white people do. Or we see the online bullying, or we hear some of the witness accounts that, oh yeah, I've heard them say racial slurs, I've heard them say things to that boy before, I've heard them do other things to the black students. When some of these things may pop up, we don't know. The facts and the truth gonna come out, right? So when some of these things may come out, it doesn't seem as oh no, I didn't teach them that. Oh no, that's not something that they got from me. Oh no, this is just, they're just being teenage clowns. They're just fooling around. They didn't mean it. They're not really racist, because it was never a race issue. When I think looking pretty clear that it probably was. So yeah, I can't trust the father off that. I'm like, yeah, we need to get some surveillance. They need to get to investigating. The police need to get to doing their damn job, and the black folks in their community out there need to do their job on their behalf too, because something ain't right. It's something more to this story that he's trying to cover up, for sure.
Mm-hmm. What I find very interesting is the fact that the father's tempo. Now, I get grief completely. You're one way one day, you're another way another day. You're on 10 one day, then you're on 0 the next day, and especially having a son who was stabbed. I know your emotions are probably all over the place. I will give it that. However, it is very suspicious that the father, and I want you to keep this in mind, this isn't a matter of days. It's not like this one interview happened and then 2 months later another interview happened and he's had time to grieve and process it. It happened in a matter of days. What makes me suspicious about the situation is that he says, well, yeah, I forgave him. He told the reporter that first, because that's what the reporter was like, oh yeah, I heard you forgave him. Yeah, but what about the documents? Oh, that doesn't matter. Clearly there's something else. What I believe, what I can ascertain, is that the father initially, he was on 10, and then he found out more information. He knows his son,
Mhm.
and he probably had a sit down, a real for real sit down with his son and asked him everything that transpired that day. And
Right.
now he knows that when the truth starts to come out, his son is not going to seem as innocent as he wants his son to seem.
Yep.
So right now, the reason why he was like, I don't want to politicize it, that means he doesn't want the issue to grow any bigger than it is. He doesn't want the issue to gain any more attention than it already has. Reason being, because you have official investigators, the police, and now you have social media investigators. And the social media investigators are a lot quicker and more thorough. So if there's any picture out there of your son in blackface, if there's any picture out there of your son saying the N-word, if there's any witness accounts of your son being a bully, which the father probably knows does exist,
Yep.
if there's anything out there, it's going to make your son look bad. So he's now having a more logical reaction, saying that, hey, we need to kind of hit the brakes on this, because the more eyes are on this, the more people start digging into my son's past, the more the higher the chance will be of people finding out that my son is more than likely a suspected white supremacist.
Exactly. Yep. That's a fact.
Now I want to get to the second interview with the son, the twin son, Hunter, and then his mother, okay?
On Tuesday. This is not something you think could ever happen. How did it happen?
So it was a really bad storm in the morning, and they had a lot of delays. And me, my brother, a couple of kids were walking back from the field house of the middle school, because we attended that middle school when we went to middle school, and we were saying hello to old coaches and catching up with them. And then we're walking back to our stand. We put our tent up so all the bleachers were right there, were not wet from all the rain. We come back, we sit down, and this kid said something behind me. I've never met this kid in my entire life. I never knew who he was. Said something just inappropriate and uncalled for. And I turned around and asked him who he was. He started getting really aggressive. My brother stepped in. He started being, how he always is with me, just brothers, just having my back. And things started getting more like higher intensity. And the kid said some like aggressive stuff, like reckless stuff, and also try to handle the problem. And yeah.
Austin was always one to step up. He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
A lot of stuff gets stolen, just like that, just precautions and stuff. And our coaches always told us, don't let, other schools, mess with our stuff. Just sit around our tent area. And we set that up for the girls' track every meet we had. So it's just like, he knew he wasn't supposed to be there. And he was it's just a tragedy what happened.
And then what happened, Austin? After your brother stepped up, what happened then?
He stepped up over there, asked him to move, got aggressive, he grabbed the bag, and then I whipped my head around, and then all of a sudden I see him running down the bleachers, grabbing his chest, and just blood rushing out. He said, he got stabbed. First I froze for half a second. I didn't know what to do. And then I saw him about to fall. I went to go over there. I grabbed him. I see.
Okay. I try not to do too much interjecting because the audio is kind of bad. It's like an echo going on in their room. So I wanted you to hear what they said. I'm going to point out, first off, I don't like the fact that they keep saying he stepped up. Like they're making it seem like Karmelo was in the middle of stealing something.
Come on.
he stepped up as if Karmelo was committing a crime, and that's what they said. Now,
Right.
Going back to the first one, let's just do a little comparison before we actually give our commentary on it. Going to the first one, this is what he said.
This kid, before I knew his name now, this kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive.
Okay. He said the kid was sitting under his tent at track. Then
But
in the
again,
Fox
I was at a track.
interview, he talks about the kid said something, and then he asked the kid who he was. And then next thing you know, just by Karmelo being asked who he was, he just started saying aggressive and inappropriate things. Nobody can say what Karmelo said that provoked this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he said aggressive and inappropriate things. And then midway through this interview, it became, yeah, I was asking him why he was there.
Said something just inappropriate and uncalled for. When I turned around and asked him who he was, he started getting really aggressive. My brother stepped in. He started being, how he always is when he's just brothers, just having my back. And things started getting more like higher intensity. And the kid said some like aggressive stuff, like reckless stuff. And Austin tried to handle the problem.
And Austin tried to handle the problem.
Handle the problem, huh? How did he try to handle the problem?
Notice he freezes here, and it's very important. Notice he freezes here.
Austin was always one to step up.
And then his mom comes in. His mom comes in as if this is all like, oh, you don't want your son to be talking too much. His mom comes in, and then all of a sudden, when his mother steps in, now it becomes an issue of, well, we don't want our stuff to get stolen, and our stuff is there, and he's not from that school, as if people from your school can't steal your stuff. But like now it becomes well, it's a precaution because our stuff is there. Now look,
a lot of stuff gets stolen just like that, just precautions and stuff. And our coaches always told us don't let other schools like mess with our stuff. Just sit around our tent area, and we set that up for the girls track every meet we had. So
okay, so that's very interesting because according to, now we heard 2 interviews of the father, an interview from the brother, and a police or arrest record. Nothing about he was trying to steal somebody's stuff or our stuff was being, we were afraid that he might take our stuff or whatever the case is. That wasn't brought up. Now, what I theorized they brought that up is because they can't really substantiate why, or they don't want to at least admit why they tried to remove him, saying he wasn't supposed to be there. People scratching their head like, okay, he wasn't supposed to be there, so you're picking him up and moving him because you feel like he wasn't supposed to be there. Now, because that story doesn't make sense, is not justified, they're not justified for trying to remove him. Now they're adding all these extra things and extra reasons. Now all of us, because he didn't say this at first. In his first interview, he didn't say, oh, he said he was mouthing off and he said something he wasn't supposed to be saying. Now all of a sudden, you trying to remove him seems out of place. Now he became this big threat who was aggressive, and our stuff is there, and the coach says don't let him take our stuff and all that. Now it's all of this extra stuff to rationalize why you even tried to physically remove him in the first place.
And it's 2-on-1 at that. So it's like, why would he be the one to be the aggressor, knowing that he's outnumbered? Not only is it 2-on-1, but he's also not even with his correct team. So why would he be the one to just get back there and just start talking mess, just to start something, with somebody over somebody asking them who they are? I mean, it's just, yeah, it sounds like they trying to soften the blow for when the truth actually comes out, because it's not gonna be good.
From what we know and from what I believe, I don't think any of the family is telling the complete truth right now. I don't think any of the family is telling the complete truth right now. I think, and there are reports out there that we cannot say for a fact, but there are reports out there that these kids were not supposed to be there at all because they're not a part of the track and field. They weren't supposed to be there. I heard other reports alleged that these kids were not sober at the time either.
Oh, interesting.
Which would make sense as to the extreme reaction to you wanting to it's bleachers. It's not like it's a seat or anything like that.
Right.
But if he was not sober it would kind of make a little bit more sense as to why his actions between get up and move and then me grabbing you and trying to throw you out the tent, that makes a little bit more sense. You can kind of process that a little more if the person's not sober.
Absolutely.
Because a normal person, even if the person has anger issues or whatever, somebody sitting down bothering you allegedly or saying something that you for whatever reason feel is inappropriate, you can't say what he said, but you're saying it was inappropriate and he was just saying he's using keywords reckless and aggressive and inappropriate and it just escalates. He's using these words, he's not specifying anything. But the thing is that your brother, you have to admit that your brother was the one who walked up to him and then put his hands on him. Right. That's such an extreme reaction for somebody who you allege you've never met before.
Yeah, that's a fact. But yeah, if they was, especially because I don't know, them white boys, they love some beer, especially them young ones. So they definitely could have. That could have been a case for sure, especially if they wasn't with the actual team. They could have brought that in their car. You know, they could have brought that and nobody even know they had it and was drinking that before they got to the game, or had it in a little Gatorade bottle, whatever, and nobody really knew, you know, whatever they was drinking. So yeah, that would definitely make a lot more sense too if they was drinking.
That's what we know. We know for what we know is that the family's not being consistent. We know the family's not being consistent. And what's so unfortunate is that regardless of the tragedy, this is a case of self-defense. Based off of what we know, this is a case of self-defense. And the reason why is because first degree means it was premeditated. A lot of people make an argument he shouldn't have bought a knife. Okay, we can discuss he shouldn't have bought a knife, even if we give the fact that he shouldn't have bought a knife, even if we give him that and say, yeah, he should, there's a school, property, campus, whatever. He shouldn't have bought a knife. He was completely unjustified for being a knife. The knife did not come into play until after he was touched. That is not like he was out playing with the knife, flipping the knife and all of that stuff. And he was brandishing this knife, or even anybody knew he had a knife on him. All right. So the knife didn't come into play until after he was touched. Him being touched, and then he told him, okay, don't touch me no more. Leave me alone. That made Austin become more aggressive.
Right.
And after Austin proceeded to touch him and actually escalated the situation that they initiated, because according to the brother, they initiated in both interviews, they initiated this altercation. Karmelo didn't say anything to them. They said something to Karmelo.
Exactly.
It makes you, in the autopsy is going to be very telling. Now, what happens is the autopsy has probably been done. This happened on what, the 3rd? It's probably been done by now, which is probably why the father, let's think about it, is probably why the father is trying to hit the brakes a little bit, because he might be all like, my son was murdered and my son was unjustly taken, and then you find out that your son was drinking or maybe doing more than just drinking, and now he's all like, well, you know, I want to forgive and I want to think about Jesus Christ, and let's not politicize this situation anymore, because if his son was drinking, then that means that Austin was a drunk, and Austin or his twin, and both were drunk, underage, and they attacked somebody who was supposed to be there. They attacked Karmelo. That actually makes them, Karmelo, not only in defense, that could lead to charges on the other side.
On the other exactly. And I think that's what they're trying to protect, that other twin. That might be really what it's coming down to. It's like, because honestly, even especially if the toxicology report comes back and he was drinking, or even if it was pills, like even if it was some sort of drugs, you know what I'm saying, in the system, that they wasn't even supposed to be on campus at all. You're not supposed to be on no damn on no school property drinking or under the influence. Like, what are we talking about? Especially if they had it on them there. So yeah, that could be a terrible look. Yeah. That would make a lot of sense why that father's out there trying to switch up his story. Or why they got the mother up there crying like that, because that was, I mean, condolences. I'm even a little.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Go ahead and tell it, because we see it. We all see it. Tell the truth.
Them Karen tears I wasn't buying that shit. I'm sorry. I wasn't buying it. I'm not.
Tell the truth. The truth will set you free, damn it. The truth will set you free. Tell it. Tell it. Okay, I'm glad she said it, because I'm gonna be honest, and I've said this for years. You got a whole lot of these people who they just squint and they excessively make crying sounds. It's just so hard, and they don't want to look at the camera, and they just and you don't, their face bone, and you know when white people cry, their whole face turn red.
It's got to be red. Come on,
you ain't seen none of that. Like,
come on. I'm like, man, that ain't. I'm sorry, that ain't. And even like you said, the way she interrupted, it's like the timing. It just felt like, okay, all right, you talking too much. Now I gotta give him the sympathy cry again. It's like, nah, bro, I can't. Something ain't right. There's something off with that damn family for sure. Something ain't right over there.
Notice this, and since you bring this up, notice how she was crying and all of that stuff, and then the second the son paused, because the son probably forgot the damn script. Because the son is traumatized, let's be honest. So the son is constantly remembering what really happened. So it's very difficult for him to program what the script is and not accidentally slip up and say something he wasn't supposed to say. So the second the son paused, the mother just stopped crying. Oh no, what happened is that it is a precaution, because just notice how like almost robotic the mother snapped right out of crying and was able to pick up after the son and fill in for that, like kind of get the son back on track. No, come on now. It's about your bag, and your bag was there, and he was going to take something from your bag. So it's either the bag being there and you feared that this man was going to take your stuff, or he said something to you and it was inappropriate. It didn't bother anybody else in the tent. It bothered you though. Nobody else in the tent did it bother to the point where they wanted him to leave, but it bothered them too. So much so they were willing to fight him to get him out the tent.
Come on.
Okay. But originally you said that he was just in the tent and he wasn't supposed to be in the tent.
Right. Some of y'all math ain't mathing. I'm adding up.
And more than likely, if they have a lawyer, if they have anybody, they've been told not to do any more interviews. They've been told to leave that alone.
That would be
because already social media is on 10 right now. You see this all over TikTok. You've seen this all over YouTube, definitely all over Twitter. Everybody's deep diving, looking into the background, looking into the history, finding little inconsistencies. If I was their lawyer, I would say, you've already given too many inconsistencies. The father's telling something different than the mom, and the mom's telling something different from the son, and he said something different yesterday. Y'all need to shut up right now. That's what y'all need to do. Absolutely.
And I haven't seen any what the Karmelo's family haven't really put out too many statements. I do know that there was I see them talking about a GoFundMe. They tried to put up some GoFundMes, or it was other people trying to put up GoFundMes, but GoFundMe snatched is taking any of their platforms down or any of their fundraisers down because they don't support victims of violence, basically, or people who've committed violent crimes. You know, you can't raise money on that, so they have a different platform there. They're what you call it. I don't know if you got the link to it. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna show. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, before I do that, I want to say his bond. When you look at his bond, actually, his bond was $1 million.
Insanity. Literally, $1 million is crazy.
This man is not a flight risk to anybody. He's a 17-year-old. This man is not a part of any gang or anything like that. For a case that is very arguably self-defense.
Right.
Even if you want to say, well, no, this is like a manslaughter or another. $1 million. Okay. And I want you to keep this in mind. A lot of people are like, well, just because you were bullied doesn't mean you have to stab. I'm going to give my statement out here. I don't believe that Karmelo was trying to kill him. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
When you try to do that, even if you stab them in the heart, when you try to stab somebody and in their life, you're going to stab them several times until they pretty much die in front of you. You're not going to stab them one time just to get them off you and run away. Now, some people are like, well, why did he stab him in the heart? Okay. If somebody's grabbing you, if a much bigger person is grabbing you and trying to pick you up and throw you around, and you just got this knife in your hand, you're going to stab where you stab.
Yeah. That's a fact. Wherever you can get closest to, wherever you can get the puncture in. So yeah.
I want to show the donation thing. This isn't this isn't a GoFundMe. It's called Give Send Go. All right. So the family, now this is the official thing, and I put this in the chat room. I'm gonna put it in the chat room again. Actually, I'm gonna put it in the chat room again. So this is the official donation page. If you guys want to donate, I think we should. We definitely need to get him the best legal defense we can, because what we don't want is for him to get a public attorney. Because if he gets a public attorney, the public attorney is going to say he should plead. He should plead guilty, maybe not to first degree, but to manslaughter. If he gets a good defense, he can walk.
He can. He definitely can walk.
There's so much on his side. If he gets a good defense, he can walk. At best, he may do some type of probation for having a weapon in class or whatever. Or even time served, if we're going to be honest. If he gets a really solid defense. So that's what us as a community need to do. We need to lock in for him on that. Right now, the goal is $300,000. Now, mind you, the bond is $1 million. And they're trying, his defense is trying to lower the bond because it is excessive.
That's
as hell. And they almost got $200,000. So the families, let me refresh and make sure that's current.
That's all right. 200,000. That's what's up.
$200,000. Mind you, this happened in a matter of a couple of days.
That's what I'm like. That's what's up for real. That's cool.
I mean, where is it? Where did I put it in the chat room? I'm trying to pin it to the chat room. But okay. But yeah, definitely if you guys want to. Okay, so I see we got suspected white supremacists in here. Okay. Don't worry about it. I got it. We need mods.
We do mods for sure.
Anyway, let me get to the super chat. I want to get to super chat from my brother. Tell it like it is. He says, them putting their hands on him, they escalated the situation. They did. They did. And I also want to say this. This is based off of the official report, based off of the witnesses. If there's any video out there at all, any video that makes the son's story look inconsistent, any video, because there are some people saying there was a broken phone, they smashed his phone, they pushed him. Now, they don't want to say the words that were exchanged. Nobody in the family is saying the exact words that were exchanged.
Of course.
Okay. But if there was, because some people are saying that both of the brothers jumped in and they tried to jump him. Some of the people saying that at first it was a push, then it was a grab, then it was a shove. All I want to say is, according to the twin, what the police quoted from the twin is that his brother Austin pushed Karmelo, which is an assault. He pushed him to get him out the tent. Now he's saying that he grabbed his bag. He grabbed Karmelo's bag, which is weird because Karmelo is the one who grabbed his bag in order to get the knife. So he grabbed his bag, and it's very weird why they said something to him in the first place. And more details and everything like that are going to come out. But I want to say something about the racial double standard in this, because a lot of people are like, this isn't about race. This is not about race. It is about race. We're going to stop playing that game.
Come on, man.
The reason why this is such a big story is because these boys are of opposite races.
Come on.
If these was two black boys, if these was two white boys, this would not be nationwide news. Unfortunate situations like this happen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where you got two white boys, they get into a fight, somebody stabs somebody. That's as unfortunate as this is. Or in the black school, as unfortunate as it is, you don't see it on CNN. You don't see it on ABC News. You don't even see the parents doing interviews. So the fact that it's gotten this big and there's so much mainstream media coverage of this situation, where there's articles left and right and left and right. There's so many articles. You Google either one of their names and there's like a dozen articles about it. There's dozens of articles about it.
It is. It's a lot. It's getting a lot of mainstream coverage. It's getting more mainstream coverage than the twin brothers we just covered just a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They wasn't too pressed to cover that one. Mm-hmm.
So let's be honest. When people say it's not about race, yeah, it is. It definitely is about race.
For sure.
Anytime that there's a black and white situation, now I'm not saying as of yet it's been confirmed that the motive in the situation was about race. We as journalists, we have to have journalistic integrity and say alleged. As of right now, that has not been confirmed. All right. But we do know that first off, the charge that Karmelo was facing is excessive. It is over the top. And they do this over the top charge because he is black. We have seen many similar situations where the white dude, you have to have a whole week or two of protest before he even gets charged. The black kid was arrested the same day. The very same day he was arrested. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't arrested the same day. George Zimmerman wasn't arrested the same day. Neither was Daniel Penny. It took them a few days after protest. It took them a few days of massive protest being done for them to say, okay, we're going to have to arrest you. He was arrested the same day. His bond, first off, he's charged with first degree, which is, I don't know how you can convince a jury that this was premeditated at all. And not only that, his bond is $1 million. His bond is $1 million.
Yeah.
So anytime there's a situation where a black kid or a black person, especially a child, does anything, whether that's defending themselves or anything like that, to a non-black, especially white person, there's always an over punishment to set an example in society that, white people are off limits. You are not allowed to, your black ass is not allowed to harm them. So his punishment is excessive to set an example of this is not allowed to go on. All right. Now, I want to thank everybody. I don't know why it's not coming up in the chat room. I don't know why. Zeze, I know you've heard a lot of different probably takes and theories on this. What do you think is the most likely scenario in this situation?
Well, if they knew him, I don't know. If they can prove that they knew each other, I definitely think that there was some sort of anti-black bullying going on. And this was his way of self-defense. But even outside of that, if they didn't know him, regardless, I do think the root of the issue was anti-blackness. I think them boys thought he was, for whatever reason, doing something that they didn't like, and by the book, by the culture, the rules in which white supremacists go by, I might not say so. So even at that age, yeah, I told you get out that seat, boy, get the hell up. I don't give a damn where you supposed to be at. You ain't supposed to be right here because I said you ain't supposed to be right here. So it really doesn't matter the context of who was supposed to be doing what or what was supposed. All that mattered at that time is that they seen this little nigga who was not doing as they said. So I'm gonna make you do as I said, and it didn't go the way they planned. I will say I do think I think they're trying to protect the brother, and I feel like if it wasn't both of them trying to attack this young man, the brother might have did something else that was cowardice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if he got it. If the brother was stepping out the way and kind of hyping the other one up, hyping the other one's head up, because sometimes that dynamic can happen with twins. One can kind of be like the more protective, that one might be the one that fight for the both of y'all. The other one might be more reserved, might be more laid back, might be, what I'm saying, still anti-black, still could be a suspected white supremacist, but goes about it in a more passive aggressive way, so he could have had some handlings in that in a more passive way, and the other brother was just more more aggressive with it, and that's why I went that way. But yeah, I think ultimately this is a case of self-defense, and I don't think that young man should be in jail, period, to be honest, but definitely not with no high-ass bail of $1 million. That's diabolical. It's wicked.
Yes, indeed. Let me get to some of the super chats. All right, we have my brother Christopher says, are there any B1 lawyers, not the usual ambulance chasing plea dealers? SO Ben Crump.
Shout out Ben Crump.
Well,
big words.
To be honest, I don't know if the lawyer is actually like black first. I do know the lawyer is making the smartest decision by trying to lower the bond.
Yeah,
that's the smartest thing that needs to happen. That boy needs to be home right now. Because the boy is also traumatized. We're talking about the twin and everybody else, the other family. This boy is traumatized. His life is never going to be the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can say it's unfortunate, but let's talk about how unfortunate it is for him to be in a situation where he's at a track and field meet somewhere he's supposed to be. He just gets attacked. He defends himself and he's in prison at the age of 17 years old. His life is never going to be the same. He needs to be home right now. So the smartest thing for the lawyer to do is try to lower the bond. And the smartest thing for us to do as a community is try to give money to the family so they can pay the bond. And then after they pay the bond, then they can work on getting a good defense.
Yeah.
All right.
Because them charges need to be lowered too. It shouldn't even be first degree murder. That's outrageous.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Also, non-swirl zone says, I think you only have to put 10% of the bond.
Usually, yeah, it is 10%, but that's still ridiculous, though. $100,000, that's ridiculous.
I think so. Yeah, usually I think so. I don't know if that's the case if it's like first degree murder, though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly. And then Texas, but regardless of that, first off, there shouldn't be any bond.
Yeah,
there shouldn't be any bond. And then let me find out exactly. Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah, because that's still too high. I'm sorry. That's crazy.
Let me see exactly if, like, according to Texas law or whatever. I mean, they would still have to pay $100,000, but let me see. Look it up right here. Do you pay? Let me see.
As a text. Wait.
All right, let's see what we have here. Okay. It says, okay, yeah, typically, yeah, you only have to pay about 10%, which would be 100,000. In this case, it would be 100,000. However, the family's still going to need money because the family's going to have to hire their own defense attorney.
Exactly. Yeah.
The family's not going to be able to rely on public defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to do that because what public defense is going to do, because what the prosecution is going to do from a legal standpoint, the smartest thing the prosecution would do in this situation, which is what they're going to do, the only angle they really have, is Karmelo was not supposed to bring a knife in school. Point blank, period. So anything after that is Karmelo's fault. That's the best defense they make because they can't argue that the twins had any authority to move him. They can't argue that the twins had any justification to put their hands on him or anything like that. So the argument is going to be about the knife. public defense attorney, they're going to say, well, you shouldn't have bought a knife. So they're going to try to work some type of plea deal out. Plus, let's be honest, there's going to be some racial play thing with it. And no defense attorney, because they're white supremacists, they're not going to be one of the person known as, I got the black guy off. I don't want to be known as I got the black guy off for killing the white kid. I don't want to be known as that. So you need to have somebody who stands outside, who's not being paid by the courts, being paid by the family, who can work around the legalese of having a knife. To be honest, it's not going to be that difficult. It's not going to be that difficult. You have to first off determine the size of the knife. And then if he's at a track meet, are there other, to be honest, if I was their lawyer, I would say this falls on the school, less on the kid. I would say the fact that he was not checked before coming into the track meet and he had something he wasn't supposed to have goes to show that how low security is at this school. There are multiple different schools there. So anybody can bring anything at all to the school. So if the school is not doing their job, but with security, then the students are going to take it upon themselves to bring security. The reason why you say don't bring knives is because the school is already supposed to have security. Clearly, the school is lacking in their responsibility to provide security.
That's true.
So because the school is lacking in their responsibility to provide security, means that it is reasonable, even if we say it's not legal, it is reasonable for a 17-year-old to feel that their security is in their own hands, their safety is in their own hands, so they would have to bring that. He didn't bring a gun.
Yeah.
He bought a little pocket knife.
Yeah. And we know there's a history of white boys loving to bring guns to school. So I'm just saying. Yeah, he could have done that, and he didn't for a reason. So yeah.
I want to get to a super chat from my good brother Torian. Torian says, did y'all speak about how they charge him with first degree? We said something about that earlier. They did charge him with first degree. They overcharged him, and there is no proof he went there with the intent to do that. There's no proof at all. And and a lot of people saying, well, him being in the wrong tent, that's instigating an argument. No, because the tent doesn't belong to the twins.
Right.
The tent doesn't belong there. He was there, even according to the twin, he was under the tent because it was raining. So it probably that was the closest tent to him when it started raining. And he just ran over to where the closest tent was.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't have been that. It shouldn't have led to that, to altercation.
No, it shouldn't have. And then for him to warn, if you have the intent on doing any harm to anybody, and you say, the second somebody look at me wrong, I'm going for him. If you have that mentality, and that's your mind frame, you're not going to warn somebody to not continue to put their hands on you. The only way that this could be first degree is if Karmelo had mind control powers and he forced Austin to put his hands on him. Austin put his hands on him. He was told not to, and then he got more aggressive, according to the police report and other witnesses. So there's no way you can argue that this was premeditated. I wouldn't say it's first or even second degree.
It's not. Yeah.
Then Torian sends another one saying, I believe they overcharged him because they I believe they overcharged him because they charged properly and it lowered. And it got lowered. They could stack right out if they hold on, let me read it from the other thing. Okay. He could stack right out of there. Yeah, that's true. They are basically doing this to ensure that he would face some type of consequence. I agree.
True.
Because the thing is that in order to have a bond that high, they would have to charge him with something like first degree.
Yeah, exactly.
If he had a bond that was lower, he would be out by now. The reason why is probably because the fact that the bond is so damn high, and they want the bond to be extremely high in order for him to do some type of time. Because if
Exactly.
bond's out and if he actually goes to trial, and I'm gonna be honest, if he stands trial and if the twin brother stands trial, a good defense is going to eat that twin brother up. It's done. If the twin brother, who's already told inconsistent stories at this point, goes to trial to give an account on what happened, that has to align with the account of the other witnesses as well too, it's not going to add up because his story is already not adding up.
Yeah. And that's what they like to do anyway. That's why I'm like, Texas got some of the most wicked white folks you can imagine, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're trying to do, just like a gotcha moment. You know what I'm saying? Like either way, even if he does go to trial, and he gets off, it's like, oh, well, we still got to hold your ass for a month, or we got to hold you for, you know what I'm saying? We got to do what we want, you know what I'm saying? And at least get a little get back on you for this certain amount of time. Yeah, we did have to load the bail, but you was in jail. We got to hold you for a week. We got to hold you for, you know. So that's like a flex of power as well, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, like, yeah, you ain't getting off scot-free, nigga. You ain't getting off scot-free type yeah.
Right, you know.
You know. I'll put the donation link in the chat room and I'm gonna pin it, and I'm gonna try to pin it. It's kind of tripping a little bit. I'm gonna pin it to the top so you guys can, okay, I can't do it right now, but it's all right. Why can't I do it right now? But it's all right. I don't know why I can't do it. It's weird though. Okay. Anyway, though, that's what we know so far. And it's important for us as a community to lock in and defend these black kids. Okay. We don't want him to fall under the pressure that because what they're trying to do right now, which is why we're doing what we're doing, is because what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to create the social discourse around that would potentially taint the jurors to be against him. That's why you have all of the pictures of Austin and his twin brother, and they got their football championship trophies. They're not trying to show you the pictures of them out in the forest with their damn ARs and all of that stuff. That's what we're showing you. Right. They're not showing you that. They're showing you of all them as little babies, and Austin, he got a football trophy in his hand and they're playing football. They're not showing you that these are pro-gun. And let's be honest, most of the time, can we tell the truth? Most of the time when you have white males around that age who are super pro-gun and like to go hunting with camo uniforms and stuff like that with AR-15s, they have they lean towards white supremacy.
Yep.
9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And you also have other students who because of our journalistic integrity, are not going to confirm at this moment, but there are reports that have not been substantiated, but there are reports that these students have a racist history and they go around terrorizing black students.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it wasn't Karmelo in particular, these students might be known for this. So that's what we don't know. But being honest with you, makes a little bit of sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But we all have to say alleged at this moment. We got to say alleged.
Mm-hmm.
So wrapping up here, what would you say closing? What would your closing thoughts be?
We definitely have to stay on this and see how this unfolds, because I'm sure that there's a lot more to the story than what they're trying to initially put out there. I definitely want to hear from Karmelo. So as soon as they can get an interview from him, get him. I mean, I don't want to say too much. Let me not say I want to hear from him, but don't put your foot in your mouth like that white boy did. Okay, so hopefully, hopefully they come more prepared for Karmelo, his family. That could be intentional because even his family hasn't spoke out a lot about the situation, honestly. So that could be intentional. I hope so that's strategic. And they're getting advice from a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? Somebody who knows what they're talking about. So yeah, I do want to hear from the brother and hear his side. But I don't want him to be, I'm sure that they didn't already try to get him wrapped up or trip him over his words or something like that. So I want him to be able to communicate clearly and say and recount what happened from his perspective. But yeah, in the meantime, for sure, I'm keeping eyes out. Okay, on all the family members, on any reports that come out, and hopefully they can get that bail load. I'm definitely trying to give some money to their not their GoFundMe, Give and Go, Give and Go.
Yeah, Give and Go.
Give and Go, for sure, because I'm in support. From what it's looking like right now, that looks like self-defense. And we behind, especially Black children, they are innocent until proven guilty. Okay, for sure. Especially, it should be for everybody, but especially for Black people. And moreover, our Black children, we have to protect them in situations like this. And let's just be real, y'all. It is in Texas. So he's dealing with some wicked people. I'm just saying, them people that's not the state where you got at least some fake ass liberals that might kind of care, that might want to, you know what I'm saying? You got some people who are straight up like, oh, nah, this ain't about to go like that. This is, it's some people. I think I just seen in the chat, somebody was like, I'm a Texan. I'm gonna say, as a Texan, it's over for bruh. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of cases, that's how it goes down there. So we have to keep an eye on it. And that father knows that if we do keep an eye on it and we do keep a foot on the gas and keep our foot on these white supremacists' necks, about what's going on and keep a lot of attention on this, keep the fire under their ass, then they can't make it go that way, because this looks a little too blatant. Like you said, if they get that twin up there on that stand, they can eat them up real, like, honestly, easily, to be honest, if they know what they're doing. So yeah, this brother can get off, and that's hopefully the goal, because this is looking like self-defense, but I do wish, I am anticipating the rest of the facts to come out for sure.
Yes, indeed. There are some people, and like I said, I had a TikTok live yesterday. It was like 4 hours long. And there were some people who came up and they were talking about Texas laws. Some people are from Texas. I'm not from Texas. All right. I have family from Texas. I'm not from Texas, though. So I might not be that familiar with Texas law, especially technically these are minors. Technically, this was on school property. So there's a lot of factors in this situation. However, what we should not be doing as a community is we should not be approaching the situation with a glass half empty type of attitude and disposition. I've seen too many people come out and they are like, oh, it's done. It's over. You already know it's done for. He's over with. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's over for him. He's done. He's not done. He's done if we leave him alone. If he doesn't have the community to back him up, he would be, but he does. So he's not done. Yeah. And the more the evidence are coming out, the more facts we know about the situation. First off, we only know a fraction because clearly the interviewer and the dad know something that we don't know, some documents that we don't know of, and we haven't heard anything about any documents since then. However, since we know what we know, that is absolutely true. We are making a very legitimate defense for this young man, and we are raising money for this young man. So when people come up to the whole thing of, well, it's over with, it's over, you're done. Don't come to the situation with a glass half empty, throw in the towel ass attitude.
Right. And even with even when we talking about him getting off, because getting off, some people just, I don't even want to explain it for real, because you probably not like us. You nigga probably a troll in the comments, to be honest. But just for context sake, when I say he could get off, not to necessarily, because he did bring a knife to a damn school, so he might still have charges pressed against him regardless. The point is, him getting off will be him not sitting in jail for the rest of his life for doing something, for defending his fucking self. That's getting off. Because under this system, he can go to jail. He can very much go to jail for it. It's a high possibility. That's why we have to focus on the case, because the way that they can flip that narrative down there in Texas, they can find a way to get that nigga in jail for the rest of, or at least for the next 20, 30 years. They can find a way to do it. That's why they charge him with with first-degree murder in the first place, which is insane within itself. But they can absolutely make it happen. So yes, even if he does get off, if he gets the charges get reduced, and hopefully he gets time served. He's only in it for a couple of months. Hopefully he gets out. You don't have to get time served. He get community service. He gets counseling. He gets whatever the case may be. That's getting off. But him sitting in that damn jail cell for defending himself is absolutely ridiculous. That's wicked. Like, for real. That is not the result. That is nowhere near the result that we want. But we're definitely hoping for the best, and that yes, the charges get dropped. I don't give a damn if we live in La La Land. Yes, I think that boy shouldn't be charged at all. He defended himself. I hope he get off for real. But even if he don't, we hoping for the best. Like, come on, y'all. Let's get a little coonish. Let's not do that. That's crazy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
The knife, all right. All right. We can't really find the knife. And first off, let's not, because what they will do is they'll be all like, okay, well, how about 7 years for bringing the knife to school? We're not even going to allow them to overcharge on the knife either. We're not going to allow them to max out him bringing a little pocket knife to a track meet. We're not going to allow him to do that. Exactly. So the knife, maybe some probation, like you said, Zeze, community service, or time served even, or a crazy fine or something like that. Because sometimes you don't get charged for bringing a knife. You get expelled or whatever the case is. You know, a slight slap on the wrist that's appropriate to bringing a knife at school. We can live with that. We're talking about the big fish, which is him being charged with first-degree murder or murder at all. That is our mission. That is our thing. So everybody focusing on the knife, stop. The self-defense, that is our case right now.
Exactly.
I want to thank everybody here. We've had a lot. We had over 400 people in here. We had a lot of people. A lot of people up in here. And I appreciate every single last one of you guys. Nice. I sincerely do. As you guys know, you can follow us on this page and then follow us on our own individual pages. Zeze, where can they follow you?
You know where y'all can follow me, A to Z TV on YouTube. Follow me, Zeze Rants on TikTok, Instagram, X. Oh, look at you. Okay. I mean, I don't even know what side, but okay. I appreciate it.
I'm like that. You know I'm like that. I always get it. I always get it.
I do appreciate you. But make sure y'all subscribe to the For the Culture channel. Okay.
Yes.
Turn on notifications, share this live stream, comment on it. Even if you was in the chat the whole time, go leave your thoughts below. Just help us with the algorithm a little bit. We appreciate y'all tuning in for real. It's a blessing.
Yes. Channel been blowing up. Great.
Yeah. We love to see.
Thank you guys so very much. I appreciate you all sincerely. Words can't even express it. You guys should follow me on my various social media pages, which is Afro Elite on Instagram, and then the Afro Elite on X, Twitter. Link is in the description below. Link to her information is in the description below. Link to the For the Culture social media pages are also in the description below. And also, when this is said and done, I got to update it. Also, the link to the donation page, I keep forgetting what it's called. It's called Give, Send, Go. The link to the family's Give, Send, Go donation page will also be in the description. All right. So make sure if you guys have it, you know, $5, $10, something slight, that stuff adds up, because there are thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, really millions, if we're going to be honest, who are on top of this. This is why they've gotten so much money in such a small little time.
Right.
So let's be honest. If 100,000 people give $2, that's $200,000. So
that's a lot of money. Yeah, we can make it happen. And they almost did. It was almost at 200,000. So their goal was 300,000. They was right there. So they're close.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, with that being said, Black First family, I appreciate every single last one of you all. Thank you guys for being with For the Culture. We appreciate you all sincerely. Make sure, before you do anything, before you leave, I know you're about to leave. Don't do it. Don't do it yet, because I need you to hit that like button. All right. See, you were about to leave, weren't you? But I caught you. Don't do it yet. Hit that like button and then hit that subscribe button. Do that. All right. Okay. Thank you.
This is right.